Hello and welcome to my latest video on Jurassic World Alive. Before I get into today's video, it would really help this channel if you could subscribe and also click the notification bell. If you enjoy this video, then please click on the like button. Today I'm going to be previewing the new creatures that are coming out in the 2.6 update that is being released this afternoon. I'll run through each creature's attributes, its abilities, its resistances, and give a little bit of my own personal insight into how effective I think each creature is. Okay, so that's the introductions done. Let's get on with the video. First off, we've got Rinchenia or Rinchenia. You'll have to bear with me in terms of the pronunciation of each dinosaur, so please no sniggering. So yes, Rinchenia. So this is a cunning epic creature. So as a cunning, it's going to be effective against fierce creatures, but it'll have a bit of a challenge against resilient ones. It's got a relatively low health of 2,700, damage 1450, and speed, as you'd expect for a cunning, is 129, so it's on the high side. In terms of spawning details, this is new in 2.6. This creature is going to be spawning in specific locations or specific continents, and you can see that Asia, Africa, Oceania and the Middle East, and I'll talk more about the spawning continents later on. In terms of its abilities, it's very much a case of avoiding damage through its dodge. So through its devious strike and sidestep abilities, it's able to avoid damage. And then we've got the rampage and run, which is a delay move where it's inflicting double damage and it's swapping out. In terms of resistances, critical reduction 100% and distraction 100%. So in terms of how to deal with this creature, it's going to be a case of nullifying those dodge moves and also putting shields up against the rampage and run, and also a counter attack as well is obviously going to be useful with that rampage and run to get a hit in before it swaps out. Okay, next up we have Stegosaurus. This is a cunning and fierce creature, so it's going to be effective against fierce and resilient, but potentially a bit more challenging against cunning creatures. So we've got a health of 3,600, damage 1250, speed kind of middle of the road 115, and it's got its spawn location in North and South America. In terms of abilities, it's got Cunning Strike, which is very much a cunning, as its name implies, cunning move. So it's reducing damage by 50% for 2 attacks, lasting 1 turn. And then we've also got a Critical Impact, which is more of a fierce move, instant charge. And we've also got the Swap In Stun, 66% chance of getting a stun. Okay, and next we've got Struthiomimus. Health 3,300, damage 1,300. So Struthiomimus is a epic cunning creature. So like all cunnings, it's going to be effective against fierce creatures, but not so effective against resilient. Like most cunning creatures, it's very much a case of avoiding damage. So it's surviving through dodge and 50% damage reduction, and also that group distraction for 3 attacks over 2 turns. And then it's got its attack through the cunning rampage. Again, if you can nullify those dodge, if you're resistant to distraction, then that's a good way of combating the defenses. And then in terms of defending against the attacks, it's going to be shields. On to Cinterosaurus, or maybe Cinterosaurus. Maybe the T is silent, the first T is silent, I don't know. So this is a wild card epic creature. So it has a pretty decent health of 4,350, damage a bit low, probably at 1,250, and speed quite low at 108. No details on the spawning locations or spawning times for this creature, so that'll come out with the update. In terms of abilities, we've got a mix of defensive and offensive. So at the bottom there, we've got the swap in stun. Got 66% chance to stun for 1 turn. And then at the top, we've got, in terms of defense, we've got a 50% reduction in damage for 2 attacks lasting 1 turn. And then in terms of offense, we've got the critical impact, giving 1.875 damage. And then we've got the instant charge, which is a delayed move, giving 75% chance to stun for 1 turn and giving a 1250 damage. Okay, next up we have the only hybrid of the released creatures. This is Andrewtodon, and this is a hybrid of Andrewsarchus and Glyptodon. So as you can see there, we've got a health of 3,450, damage 1,300, speed 112, kind of middle of the road. And this is a fierce and resilient creature, so we're picking up Andrewsarchus fierce and Glyptodon's resilient attributes. In terms of abilities, it's a nice set of abilities here. We've got the Cleansing Impact, which is an upgrade from Andrewsarchus's Cleansing Strike, giving 1.5 times attack. We've got Fierce Strike, which is actually a downgrade from Andrewsarchus's Fierce Impact. Armor Piercing Impact, with 1.5 attack. And coming over from Andrewsarchus, we've got the Rending Takedown of 60% of the opponent's maximum health points, and that's obviously a delayed move. And we've also got no escape, so we've got swap prevention on the opponent. Again, that was from Andrewsarchus. And we've got a new ability as well. We've got Exposing Counter. So as it says there, after receiving and surviving a physical attack, render attacker vulnerable for 2 attacks lasting 1 turn. So I think that's a really interesting ability, in as much as it's not so much a counter attack, but it's certainly, well, it is a counter attack of sorts, because it's going to make the opponent vulnerable. So it's going to make it vulnerable for 2 attacks over 1 turn. So let's say your first move is Fierce Strike, then when you get attacked and survive, then you have the Exposing Counter, which then makes the opponent vulnerable for your next attack. So I can see that being really useful. So a pretty fierce opponent, Andrewtodon. And in terms of resistances, we've got 100% on speed decrease, we've got 50% on stun, and 25% on vulnerable. So I think overall, I think that's a very interesting creature. I think that's going to be a very popular epic during the championship tournaments. I'm certainly looking to create this one very quickly. I've saved up all my DNA for Andrewsarchus and Glyptodon. I haven't done any evolving of those yet. So I've got plenty of DNA to create Andrewtodon, hopefully, for the forthcoming championship tournament this week. So I mentioned earlier on, with the 2.6 update, there are new spawning locations based on continents. And as you can see there, we've got a map of the world, and I've got coloured in each of the various continents and areas. So starting in the west, we've got Stegosaurus in North and South America, in the Americas. And then we have Struthiomimus in Europe. And then we've got Rinchenia in Africa, Asia, Middle East, and Oceania. So this is a new thing with 2.6. I think it's going to encourage global alliances. And as everyone has already seen the release notes, I'm already seeing players asking for members from different continents in their alliance. So, for instance, where previously it may have been, let's say, an all North American alliance, they're reaching out now to see if there are any players who want to join their alliance in the other areas. For example, obviously Europe and maybe Australia and Asia, for those players to join, so they get access to those creatures and then can put them in sanctuaries and get the DNA. So I think it's an interesting move by Ludia. I think it's probably more interesting because we're in a pandemic at the moment, so people aren't traveling. So it is going to be very much a case of people having to get players from across the world in their alliances, put the creatures into sanctuaries, and then get the DNA that way. We've also got the each Sunday after the release of 2.6, we're going to have epic DNA trading. So again, players can request DNA from these creatures that way and build up DNA. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it or found it informative. Please do provide feedback in the description below. I always respond to comments, so please feel free to add your comments, feedback or suggestions. Okay, until next time, this is Alien Newt.